Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to today's much awaited webinar. The webinar is on importance of routine for little children and how that routine helps them navigate through different challenges in life and getting back to school, coping with change, and so much more. I am your host, Kinshuk, and I'm thrilled to have you all join us today. Before we dive into today's discussion, allow me to introduce you to our guest speaker. We have with us an expert in the field of early years learning, someone who has dedicated her career to understanding the intricate needs of young children and supporting their growth, development, and various needs in different capacities. So, without further ado, please join me to give a warm virtual welcome to Ms. Seema Verma, our curriculum expert at Play Center for Learning and Development and Care for Children, a true advocate for early years learning. Welcome, Seema.
Thank you so much, Kinshu. Good evening, everybody, and a very, very warm welcome to all dear parents on this segment. I'm delighted to be here with all of you and share my thoughts and certain experiences that I've gathered over the years.
Seema, I think we will dive into the discussion directly.
Sure,
Since we
Kinshu.
are discussing transitions and getting back to school, so what are some of the common difficulties that children face during change, whether it is getting back to school or any other sort of change in life?
Okay, so let me answer your question in a sequence. So, change is always turbulent, right? Irrespective of the age. It is just that at different ages and stages, children react differently to change. We have young ones where communication is not in place. They respond to change either by throwing tantrums or by crying or probably getting off water or off their routine, their feed or their other routines. They will start throwing toys. They would not want to indulge in any kind of play or interaction. They would not want to play with anybody. Their sleep patterns may get disturbed, right? And their morning routine also would be a little unstable. They would not want to brush their teeth. They would not want to change their clothes because they are a little apprehensive of the new experiences and the environment, because a new environment poses its own threat to the child's universe, because we are pulling the child out from the safety net and the comfort, because families are the bedrock of their life, right? It is a place where they learn many firsts, to the first cry, to the first walk, to the first crawl, to many firsts, the first win or the big losses, or to their first small achievement. So, and it is all done in the care and comfort of primary caregivers. But we must also remember that children are primed to learn from dynamic environment under dynamic situations. So while a toddler may react like this, probably a child who's 4 years or 5 years, and where communication is in place, the child will throw a tantrum. I don't want to go. I don't feel like going. I'm not well, right? I will not eat. Probably I will throw my snack box, or I will do something else, or I will kind of cook up a symptom of being unwell. Maybe my stomach is hurting, or maybe my leg is paining, something like that. Anything to avoid that situation. So children react very differently, and based on the cues from the children, sometimes as parents we also get a little upset. We also start thinking whether we are doing the right thing, whether this is the right age, whether children at a young age should be taken to the centers And what if my child does not settle? What if my child is not able to adapt to the new environment? So any change has its own kind of responses, depending on the situation that we are, and how we are coping up and handling that. So I hope that answers to some extent, because I know, Kinshuk, you're also a mom, and you know
True,
uh,
true, true. I think each child is very unique, and their way of expression of anxiety or joy is very different. And I'm sure most parents understand their child well, but this situation of change is also very unique for each parent. They do not know exactly what to expect and how the child would behave. So it is important to learn. Uh, and look out for these cues from children. So I think your answer helps a lot in understanding these changes. But is it possible to effectively prepare children for such a transition? And if like this transition could be to school or settling into a daycare or change of houses, any of these. But is it possible to prepare them better for it?
Yes, of course, of course. Expectation setting goes a long way. And when I talk about expectation setting, I just don't mean to say that just talk about the change that is coming, but having a foundation of routine, ritual, consistency, and structure in place. Because when children have a routine, they have a consistency and a structure, then they know what to expect. And if there is anything new that is coming into their universe and their environment, so children are well prepared, and they feel more confident approaching the new scenario or the new situation. See, and children at a very young age, like I said, are primed to learn. Now, the environmental mediation goes a long way with positive experiences and positive stimuli in helping a child develop, because it is from these new experiences that children develop certain skills which are very, very important in early years, whether it is sensory skills, whether it is cognitive ability, whether it is language, whether it is literacy, anything. So children learn from all this. So the new environment is very, very important, where there is a peer group interaction, where there are different resources, where there are different learning aids, where there are multisensorial experiences for them. Now, when I talk about routine, there is a routine at home, both for adults as well as for children, right? So, as adults, we know how our day has to start and what is planned for the day, because we've already done that planning. Either there is a structure of a job, or there is a structure for some kind of other work, but we know what needs to come next after a particular routine. So the transition for us is much easier and it is seamless. But when we talk about children, the transition for them becomes difficult when they don't know what to expect. So it is very, very important that we let them know that how we are planning their day. Like we schedule our calendars, we should talk about all the transitions and routine for children during the day. And there are some things, some rituals, that all of us do as a family together, whether it is watching some screen time together, whether it is playing a game together, whether over the weekends, dads rustle up a meal, a fun meal for children, and where it's a mom day with children, and taking them out to the park, taking them out for play dates. But these are routines. If we remember our own childhood, we remember all these rituals from our childhood, right? We remember that how we did certain things on certain days, and those were non negotiable, right? We knew what to expect on a certain day, whether it was going out to the park, or going out to our extended family, or meeting our cousins, or playing a game with them. So, similarly, children also like to know their routine. And when we, as adults, as primary caregivers, talk about this routine and set the right expectation with children, then they look forward to, they are better prepared. They may not be completely prepared, but they are better prepared. When they know what experiences await them, they are going to meet new people, they are going to meet new friends, and they are going to have fun, and they are going to play with them and enjoy with them. So, those are some of the things that really help. The structure that we talk about, that puts into place, it makes sense for all the routine and the ritual to fall into place. So the structure is also very important. Consistency, when we talk about, consistency is also very important, because repetition builds a sense of routine in children. So if the repetition is there, consistency is there, then they also know that I am better prepared. I know what my day is going to look like today. So consistency at times can be a miss, because we all have bad hair days, but that's all right. Let children have the freedom of doing things on their own on a particular day. Maybe it be a Sunday or a Saturday. Give them choices. Give them, choices to make them feel autonomous. Make them, to strengthen their agency. But at the same time, and like, if I were to give you an example, it would be like a holiday. The family goes on a holiday. There is no routine, right? We are all having fun. We sometimes have breakfast late. We go to bed very late. We are lying down, gazing at the stars, gazing at the mountains or the rivers, wherever we are going, we are enjoying. And we are way past our bedtime, what would normally be at home, right? But that is the fun part of it. That is the freedom that children experience, because they know it's a different environment, it's a different scenario, it's a different situation, and I'm having fun with my parents. But yes, at the same time, parents can also talk about, we've had a wonderful holiday. Now it is time to get back to routine. It is time to go back to our centers, look forward to meeting our friends, and that is going to be very exciting. So that kind of builds a sense of anticipation in children, right? I've had my wonderful time with my parents, and I'm going back to go and meet my friends. So these are some of the things, that build. Now, relationships are all about building connections. While as primary caregivers, we have that connect with children, right? And many a times we are looking at, the right kind of input. If as parents we are giving, we want the right kind of output. But children do not function like that. They are adventurous. They love to take risks, right? While they know the actions that they are doing and the risk they are taking, many a times they do not know the consequences also. And that is why, research has shown, recently a research was done in the University of Albany, and this research was done with a certain specific number of undergraduates, and these undergraduates were tracked with their childhood routines and the childhood rituals that they all had in their families. And when the study was done, it was shown that children who had a predictable routine and structure and followed family rituals had more problem solving skills and less of attention deficit kind of, behavior. And they were more tuned towards, better time management and better, focused attention. So it really goes to show that what is the importance. And also another thing I will tell you, children are always trying to test boundaries. So when there is a playground where there is a fence or a boundary, children play better, because they know that the boundary is taking care of their risks, right? But still, we will have some children who would want to jump off the boundary wall and see what is on the other side. But there are some children who feel that the boundary wall is a kind of safety net, and I'm safe and secure within my play field, and I can play as much as I want. So they are always exploring and they are always curious. So it is very important that, we have certain kind of routine and structures in place, and certain rituals. And these rituals, believe me, will go a long way even when they become adults. This is going to be ingrained in them, and they are going to be following up for them. And sometimes, when children move from toddlers to teenagers, that is the time, that they want to flout everything that they have learned. They want to test it out on their own. And that is the age for them to test it out. But when they move into adulthood, all the family rituals, routines, and the structure starts making sense to them because they have tried and tested everything. And some things always stand the test of time. Some structures always stand the test of time, and when it has withstood the test of their evaluation and assessment, they go back to it, and then they start following it with their own families.
True, true.
Yeah.
I think the main takeaway here, Seema, is that we as adults sometimes we are so busy in maintaining and following our own routines. We forget that while it is important to establish a routine for children, it is also important to talk to them about it and keep them in the loop as equal participants and in it, and not just make them part of the execution process. I think keeping them in the loop of establishing these routines and importance of these routines helps them also to understand what to expect next, and probably that soothes their anxiety.
Absolutely. See, children are adults in their own universe. So if they
Correct.
are treated with respect, and if we as parents are able to understand their verbal and non-verbal cues, then we will be able to communicate to them better. So it is always, it's a challenge, to put ourselves in their shoes, because we feel that children are our responsibility and we need to do a good job, and we need to be that kind of parent where we are doing everything right for our children. But but every child learns on their own, right? Our actual responsibility is to provide those nurturing experiences where children learn on their own. And when they learn on their own, when they make mistakes, when they fall, then they learn to get up also. What they need is somebody who's supporting, who's their cheerleader, and who's watching their back. Even if they push back, they should have that confidence that as parents, we are the biggest cheerleaders. We are always having their backs. So that is very, very important. And I am remembering a line that, at the age of 3, they have all the questions. And by the age of 13, they have all the answers. And everything is in between. So the in between period between the question and all the answers is the foundation building years, right? Where we have to
Very
really
true.
work upon
Very
it.
true. Very true.
Yes.
Uh, Seema, you spoke about the importance of routine and how it helps children cope with change. Are there any specific considerations or recommendations you would have for children with, uh, I would say, behavioral challenges or delay in their expressive language? How do they cope up with change, or what are the things that parents of such children must keep in mind for them?
Yes. So as parents, we are very attuned to each and every need of our child. Even when a child at the age of say 6 months or so, as parents, we know when my child is hungry, what is the requirement, what is the need of the hour for my child. I know when my child wants to nap. I know when my child wants to use the washroom. I know exactly everything because as primary caregivers, that is the bond that I share with my children. Similarly, children who sometimes have a little bit of delay in speech, or there is some kind of behavioral delay or a challenge that parents are facing, the only thing that I can tell or share is, children respond better to a very, very positive environment. So when we talk about, let us understand that if children are not able to communicate, there is that innate need in a child at a particular age, as per ages and stages milestone, where children need to learn communication because, expression is the first medium to build the foundation for any cognitive learning, right? To be able to communicate. So if children are having difficulty in communicating, we do need to understand either they need some kind of reinforcement, some kind of additional support in terms of their speech intervention or some kind of behavior intervention that only experts can give. And here I would like to share, our individualized learning, advanced learning program for our children at our centers across pan India is a wonderful way of supporting these children onto their development journey. So we do have experts at our centers who are specialized in their field, in this field, to evaluate and assess children on the need that is required, and to work with children on possible strategies and intervention that can help them overcome this, and slowly and gradually move on to a very stimulating kind of learning for them. And of course, our assessors at the center and the special educators will be in a better position to guide our parents. So that option is always available, and our parents are welcome. But yes, at home, do not try to force children to do anything that they are not ready for. Children, we must respect the need of the child. If a child is for some reason unable to perform a task or do a certain thing which comes out of our own expectation at a particular time, because we as role models want our children to behave in a particular way, to perform in a particular way, or to talk in a particular way, but children are actually drawing from their own experiences in the environment, and sometimes there is a delay. So that delay should be understood by parents, and that delay should be addressed in a positive manner rather than trying to force. And sometimes we don't have all the answers, right, as parents, however best we may try. We sometimes feel challenged ourselves, because we feel that why is my child not able to do this. So that is the best time that we should reach out to the experts rather than trying to do everything ourselves. And the whole universe is out there to support our children, on this journey. So we should definitely reach out, and reach out to the right people, and also at the right time. So that is very important. So timing is also of critical essence, because till 6 years there is a lot of positive change and impact that can be drawn into the lives of these children. So it is very, very important that we do understand the need and criticality, and then address them.
Got it. Got it, Seema. I would request my our audience to put up their questions on the chat box in the comments, and we will take it up post our discussion here in a few minutes. So please keep your questions flowing in. Seema, talking about routine, there is also a practical aspect to it, that there are times when these routines cannot be followed. There is a sudden change in the structure, which is unexpected even for the parent, and certainly for the child as well. So, I, as a parent, see that my child gets overwhelmed in such a situation, and sometimes I don't know how to explain it to her. So, how does that work? How do we deal with this flexibility in the routine, and help children cope up with that change as well, and then bring them back to the regular routine itself?
Very true, Kinshuk. And children get sometimes confused, angry, cranky, and their whole response to everything, whether it is simple, whether it is complicated, it changes, because they feel out of control. Everybody wants to be in control, so they feel out of control. And of course, this change in routine is very normal. It is bound to happen. Sometimes it happens due to a family situation. Sometimes it happens due to an unexpected event that happens. that we are not able to continue with the same kind of routine. Maybe there is a demand on our lifestyle, that comes out of the blue, and however much that we want to keep up our routine and structure in place, it does not happen. uh, what works best is to talk to children at that point in time, and probably ensure that somehow we are able to meet their basic needs, at least, if nothing else. And by basic need, I mean getting them 9 to 10 hours of sleep for toddlers is very, very important. And for some reason, even if that sleep cycle is disturbed because of late nights or because of anything else, and the food pattern is also disturbed, the next day, when we want to wake up our children on time, we should be a little flexible and not follow the same routine. Because if we've not been able to ensure that our child is well fed and well slept, then the child is bound to be cranky the next day. So let us take out some time and let us ensure that the child gets a nap in the afternoon, probably at the care center. We can talk to our facilitators and we can tell them that my child has been cranky yesterday because the routine was not met and we were not being able to fulfill his or her need. Can you please ensure that my child sleeps a little early or sleeps for a little more time, nap time, rather than trying to reschedule and reorganize the routine in the same way. Overnight it will not happen. The child needs that proper time of rest. The child needs a proper time to reorient themselves. And also, my request to all the parents is, please don't put pressure on yourself. Our children are very adaptive, they are very, very resilient. So in case we are not able to meet and we are not able to get the child to sleep, say at 8 o'clock, or wake up at 8 o'clock, it's all right. Once in a while, everything is all right, because if these changes happen indirectly, these changes are also preparing our children for a very, very important life skill, that change, adapting to change, sudden change is also a life skill, right? And how we respond to that will go a long way in helping our children respond better, because children imitate us, they see our patterns. And just to give you an example, if, like, supposing my child really wants to play with toys at home and it is a playtime, my child does not want to complete or does not want to leave that activity of playing or drawing or coloring or anything that my child is doing, and I have an appointment and I have to rush to the appointment and I have to take my child along with me because I have nobody else to take care of my child. Will I just snatch the toy away and say, you can't play any longer? I have to rush for my appointment. Just get up quickly and get ready. Uh, Probably this is one way of doing it. The other way, probably, which would really go a long way in helping, is that, talking to your child to say that I know I'm rushing you. I know you love playing and you want to play a little more, but, mama or daddy has an appointment. I need to meet this person. Let's go quickly and finish up with that meeting. And once we come back, I promise I'm going to give you that toy to play again. And you will have lots of fun. But this is the time that I need to go and meet that person and I need to take you with me. Probably, the child will be in a better space to understand. But it is again about communication. It is again about talking to children and talking to them like adults, talking to them as though, we are on the same page. Whether they understand or not, they do understand the body language, they do understand the intonation, the inflection in our voice. Even if they don't understand the language, they know that there is something important. And my parents would never pull me out of something which I immensely enjoy or I'm immersed in. But yes, there is something more. But do ensure that when you come back from that meeting, you are again giving your child that toy to play, So you've kind of reposed your trust in the child, right? And the child knows that if my parents are saying something, then it is something that is being done. So those are simple things, that go a long way.
Got it, got it. Seema, I would want to ask you how, talking so much about routine, how do parents actually start with building a routine? But before that, what is the right age to start working on a routine for a child? Because some of our parents in the audience want to understand. Say there is a 3-year old for whom they have not started with a routine as per the parent, so are they too late on the for the bus, or how is it, like what is the right age to start with the routine? That's my first question to you from the audience.
So like there is a care routine for children, which is on demand, right? When we are looking after infants, when we are taking care of infants, we attend to their needs on demand, right? A child starts crying. As a parent, I will see whether my child needs the milk, or whether my child needs a diaper change, or whether it is nap time. I'll try and rock. I'll try some of the things to see what exactly does my child need. Now, that is a routine which we are building up from the moment a child is born. From a moment we have that infant in our arms, right? We start building on to routine. But yes, care takes priority. Care becomes the most important part, the routine care of it. But yes, at the same time, we can slowly build on to other things also. As our children, start responding to different situations, whether it is by smiling, whether it is by throwing their legs, whether it is, gurgling, or taking out sounds of dada, baba, whatever it is, you know, uh, as parents, and this is something that we have all done, right? There is a musical toy that we have given in their hands. Probably there is a board book, or which we have given them, which they like turning the pages, they like exploring everything. Now slowly and slowly, indirectly, we are building some kind of structure and routine, right? They have been well fed, they have taken a nap. Now is the time for playing. So now either they will play with toys, or they will play with a book, or they will play with some stuffed toy. So all these small things are building routine. As children transition from one age to another, their need and requirement for different kind of interaction and engagement also changes. And as their need for interaction and engagement and play changes, so does the routine also change. So, from an infant who takes nap every 1.5 hours to 2 hours, slowly you will find a toddler where the need for taking a nap changes, right? The time between the nap also changes. Why does it change? Because there are different stimuli that come into the environment, right? There is play, there is engagement, there is interaction, everything starts happening. And the child gets distracted, and the child starts moving and gravitating towards the newer experiences. Now, these newer experiences are also part of a routine that is being built onto. And slowly, then as parents, we decide now is the as per the nap time, we will gravitate, as per the feed time, as per the meal time. So to build any kind of structure, it doesn't require much. Early years is very simple. We kind of try and orient children with our own routine, with the regular routine that we want, the family routine that we have, right? If we have dinner at about 7:38, we try and build into from the morning to ensure that the child also finishes dinner by 7:30 or 8. So these are all building routines. Yes, routine does help, but if we want to transition the child to a new environment, whether it is a play center, whether it is a formal preschool, whether it is any other environment, it is best to work backwards and prepare ourselves more constructively a couple of days back, and start working around to orient and complement the new routine that is coming their way. If my child is not habitual at getting up at 8 o'clock and being ready by 9 for the center, if my child gets up only at 9, so probably 15 days earlier, I would try and, buffer in that half an hour of period or 1 hour of period, and try and work backwards to ensure that my child finishes dinner and starts taking evening, sleep time, the night sleep time a little early, so that my child is refreshed. Now, those are some of the subtle changes that we will need to make, but it will all depend that when we want our children to transition, and once we have decided when we want our children to transition, and then we start working backwards. So like I said, children are very adaptive, very resilient, and like any other adult, they take few days only to adapt to a new routine. But again, consistency is very important. It cannot be 2 days I follow a routine and 4 days I don't follow a routine. So, for more than children, parents need to have that discipline to be able to work out an environment where a child feel is comfortably easing into it, not being thrust into it. When it is a gradual transition, it is a staggered transition, and our settling in process also is beautifully transition, right? Because it's a gradual transition. We don't we welcome children for a very small period of time, 1 hour every day, right? And why do we do that? Because we want the child to adapt to the new environment slowly and steadily. So similarly, we need to work backwards to get the child ready for adaptation very slowly and gradually.
Got it, Seema. I think that's a very nice explanation about routine and how to set up a routine. But I have questions coming in from two sets of parents, one a parent of a 4-year-old and a parent of a 10-year-old. Both questions are similar on how to deal with the pushback that comes from the child. So, if the child is challenging a routine, so how to get a 4-year-old to follow a routine, and how to convince a 10-year-old to follow that routine which is applicable to him or her.
So both are actually at an age where they are testing their boundaries in different way, right? One 4-year-old is trying to see how far I can get away, whether, if I throw a tantrum or if I push back, maybe mom and dad will listen to me and give in, right? A 4-year-old knows about the actions but doesn't know so much about the consequences. But a 10-year-old knows both the action as well as the consequence, but a 10-year-old is actually trying to take those risks, right? And trying to assert himself that I am an individual entity and I want to assert myself. So, for a 4-year-old, a little bit of distraction, a little bit of strategies to work around, to build into the excitement of the new routine will definitely help. But for a 10-year-old, what is really going to help is uh, that we talk to the child, we try and understand what is it. Is there something about the new routine that a child does not like? Maybe the child does not like, probably the child is having some kind of peer pressure at the school, or maybe some kind of resistance from the facilitator at the school. Maybe there is a subject where the child does not feel very comfortable, the child is not able to say. Maybe the child has trouble making friends, maybe the child has trouble getting up. So we really need to understand that. And sometimes, in our anxiety to discipline children or to try and, push our way forward, we often tell children, you're going to be grounded if you don't do what I say. But let us remember, if children are grounded, so are we, because we have to be there with them, right? So in if you ask me, that really doesn't help, because what will really help is to understand where the resistance and anxiety is coming from. Because a 10-year-old, if he's saying, that means there is something in his environment, one part of his environment, that he's not comfortable with, that he's not. And probably, there is that other thing also that we as parents need to reflect. We are all product of our experiences, our environment, and our upbringing. And sometimes we are very rigid with that. I have been doing that, I have learned this way, and I will do it this way. This is the only way that I know. But the whole environment is changing. The world is changing around, right? We also need to be flexible. We also need to adapt ourselves to this changing world and the environment for our children, because our children are getting experiences much more than what we got when we were young, right? Because our world was different, and their world, with everything, at a very explosive rate, is very, very different. So, their expectation also is very different on how they want to behave, how they want to do certain things. And there is merit in trying to understand them and probably find a middle way to work around, and not having a very rigid belief to say this is not done and this is how you have to do. So when we work in a very collaborative manner, and when we have that communication, then children also try and understand. And if there is open discussion, if there is responsive discussion rather than reactive, then the chances are very high that we will be able to chart out a middle path, so that our children are able to move forward in a very, very positive manner.
Got it. I think unique challenges with different ages of children, rather than challenges, I think it is more about us parents understanding them and taking these situations as part of their growing up journey. Uh, we have another question here that is about the mealtime routine of children. So often, the parent here asks if we should force children to eat. So, one option that the parent suggests here is punishing a child. The other is letting the child be hungry and letting them come back whenever they feel like eating, and let them choose their meal time. But they also say that the meal time is missed while the child is busy playing. So, what does a parent do to establish a mealtime routine for a child?
I think, first of all, don't overfeed the child. There is a healthy gap, and depending, I don't know what age group you're talking about, but definitely for a 4-year old and onwards, there should be a gap of about 4 hours or so between the meals, typically. uh, our tendencies are sometimes as parents, again, and more often than not, is to overfeed children. Let me get all the macronutrients, micronutrients, everything together, because once my child goes to a daycare center or a play center or any other center, then I don't know whether my child will eat or not. My child is a fussy eater. But what we have seen at our centers is that fussy eaters start eating so well when they are in the company of other children, right? They pick up and they start learning to eat better. And not only just eat better, from a restrictive palate to a very, very elaborative meal, because they are trying out. Our meal plans are so nutritious, and so full of variety and nutrition for children, that through the day, the 3 meals that they have, the variety is so pleasing and aesthetic, with all colors on the plate, and they love to try out new things, and they are able to eat. But yes, at home for a child, Again, the tendency of the parent is, if my child is not eating, let me run after the child, let me give a tap to the child, let the child watch a particular cartoon or a song, so that, while my child's senses are engaged somewhere else, I will continue to feed my child. Or probably I will extend the meal time from about 20 minutes, 30 minutes to about an hour, hour and a half, but I need to feed the child. First of all, meal times have to be a no distraction time for children. Remove everything, remove the toys, remove all the distraction, and build on to conversations about the food and the food item. What is the shape? What is the color? What is the texture? So, if children are given food for thought, we have food for the stomach, right? But children also need to be given food for thought. They also need to be given some kind of, exploration around food and build into that. Let them be part of the kitchen as non fire cooking, right? They can shell the peas, or probably, they can do some kind of pot and pan support in the kitchen, of course removing them from all the dangers. And they can be part of rustling up a meal, a non-fire meal, along with you, and then having that meal. So some kind of excitement will need to be built up into children. And when we have this kind of excitement built onto our routine, then we will find that children are able to slowly eat. Punishing them and depriving them of food maybe will work for a day or so, but believe me, the guilt pangs that we will have as parents will be enormous. We will not be able to stick by it because, none of us want to see our children go hungry, right? So we want them to have good food and also give them choices. Again, choices, giving choices is a part of building autonomy and strengthening their agency. Similarly for clothes, I have requests from parents who say all the time that, morning time getting them to the center is a great task, because they want to dictate which color t-shirt they want to wear, what shoes they want to wear, and what trouser they want to wear. So they say it is very, very difficult. And I always tell my parents, take out three sets, give them three choices. If you give them three choices, they feel very empowered to choose one, because they feel that they have won, they have accomplished. Similarly, in food, give them choices, two to three simple choices, and tell them, do you want to eat this? Do you want to eat this? When we put the ball in their court, you will find whatever they pick up, they are going to eat that. And then ask them, make them feel invested. What is it that you would like to eat in your lunch or dinner? But again, give them three choices. Tell them, choose from this, and let one or two meals be a fun meal, a little bit of, we always talk about junk and healthy, but at Clay, we on every Friday we have a local menu, right? Which is global cuisine with local ingredients. So we've kind of, our nutritionist has termed it as local menu. And believe me, children love, they look forward to Friday. They look forward to all the burgers and pastas and all, which is made from very local, healthy ingredients. So a little bit of variety, a little bit of fun around it, goes a long way. And of course, again, be consistent with it.
True, Seema. I think I read somewhere that with children, it is important for parents to pick their battles. Not everything needs to be a firefighting situation. It is
Yes.
sometimes okay to let go and give them their choices, as you said. One last question we have here is from a parent of a 2.7-year-old, and they say that the child is shows resistance towards innovative ways or newer ways to do the same thing. The child is very used to a particular pattern, and the challenge is to try different ways for a particular thing. What does a parent do in such a situation?
See, pattern is the only way that children feel safe and secure, right? When there is a pattern around, they feel safe and secure. Now, if your child is resistant to change, please be very mindful of how you introduce the change. The change cannot be introduced overnight. The child cannot be forced to adapt to the change. And sometimes, children are resistant to change because, again, every child is unique. Every child takes their own time to respond to change. But yes, what really will make a difference is that within the home environment, if somehow we can build on to additional things on the routine. Now, if I were to say that my child only eats porridge, doesn't like to eat anything else. Now, porridge has milk and porridge has some grainy things. Maybe create a semolina kheer or a rice kheer along with porridge. And maybe you can keep two, three bowls, small bowls for the child, right? And if the child is probably, let the child taste and test out, you know, the taste of the new items that is being served. Let the child explore. Very often, when we are not looking, we will find that children really like. And sometimes, because we are so focused on it as parents, children love to have that impact. They love to resist just for the sake of resistance. And similarly it goes with toys, and we often find that children are very glued to a particular toy. There is a blanket or a soft toy or a musical toy that they don't want to part even with their friends. They are very attached to it. So if children are showing a pattern of getting very resistant to change, that means they are very attached to a particular activity or a particular situation. So slowly and slowly, in a non-threatening manner, we need to give more choices and experiences to the child, introducing one new thing at a time rather than immediately changing the whole environment. So sometimes to take things slowly may be the right way to work around with children. So you will have to use your own creativity over there as parents, because like I said, children respond very differently, and that is one aspect of your child that you're talking about. But maybe the whole environment, you will need to reflect what is it that I can change, and if I want to change something, how is it that I want to change. And please respect the need of the child. And if your child is crying or if your child is resisting to that, maybe it is a time to let be and not force the child, and then try again, and then try again. And maybe the third or the fourth time you will find some kind of acceptance to the newer thing in the environment. So go slow, take it easy, and don't put pressure on yourself, because children will eventually expand their network. And as parents, our sphere of influence and our scope of influence is immense. But we should take it very slow and very gradual, and try and understand the need of the child.
Got it. I think if I can say so, the change has to be a process and not a result oriented event for the child. So if it is
Yes,
a process, gradual acceptance will come
becomes
in
easier.
eventually, and you
Yes,
will achieve that result. But it has to be
yes,
slow.
yes.
Uh, I have a question that came to me in the beginning, but I wanted to save it for the end. So, one last thing, Seema, with you to ask you is that what is that piece of advice that you would give to parents for a child who is going to start with preschool? So, that one piece of advice for them, because it's a major milestone, a major change in the child's life and the parent's life. So, what is your advice?
So I think it is just my experience with children is that Children thrive in an environment where they are surrounded with love, with positive connection, with a safe and stimulating environment. So, and they need a little bit of time to adapt to the new environment. So it is best that we are very, very positive about this change, about this transition ourselves, and we do all the preparation that is required to ensure a smooth transition. We need to connect with the new caregivers and the facilitators and the center teams to understand. We need to be very, very honest and authentic on everything that we share about our children, because the first couple of days, when the transition is happening, uh, the caregivers and the facilitators and the center team will need to know everything that can help them to settle our children better into the new environment. So, the more you communicate as parents, the more you are invested in their well being and their transition, and the more confidence and trust you repose on the new team, the easier it'll be for the child to settle into the new environment. Definitely, it is going to take time. Some children take a week, some 2 weeks, maybe some 3 weeks to a month. But that is all right, because, once children settle, there is no looking back. And that is the time that, everything else will fall naturally into place. So, and also to keep your anxiety at bay, because one thing that children sense, they take their cues from parents, right? They know when you are happy, when you are sad, when you are anxious, when you are a little agitated. So this is the best time, that whatever questions you have, please communicate and over communicate with the new team, and please address all your concerns there, and have a very, very positive environment for children, because when you are positive, the team at the other end also will be very, very positive and feel very confident in handling our children and helping them settle into the new environment. And of course, just work on their routine. See that they are well fed, they sleep well, they are well prepared, everything is ready for them, because the first couple of days they might not eat, they might not drink, they might not play with anything in the new environment, but that is all right, as long as you feed them well before they go to school, you feed them well before they go to centers. There is a water bottle, there are some snacks for them to munch, there is a variety of things. If there is a particular toy, or if there is a particular something that your child really refuses to part or gives him or her a comfort, do talk to the new team if the child can bring that, so that there is some connection between the home and the new environment. So these are some of the things. Maybe a small plant they can carry, and they can look after that plant at the center, right? Give them water, and maybe name their buddies. Ask the new team members who are their friends, take their names, talk to them, talk to your child, taking their names. Maybe what are the activities, what are some of the rhymes that a child has done, do that rhyme at home. Because when you will show familiarity with all the activities that are done at the school or the center, then the child will feel more confident that yes, there is this very strong bridge between home and the new environment.
So true. I think communication again is the key here. Thank you so much, Seema. I think this webinar has been so insightful, and uh, I'm sure our audience has gained some valuable knowledge and practical strategies to empower their little ones during these times of change. I would like to once again mention to the parents that remember that transitions can be challenging, but with a consistent routine, open communication, and a nurturing approach, a positive approach, we can guide our children towards resilience, growth, and success in life in general. We encourage you to continue exploring resources, seeking support, and sharing your experiences within your communities. Together, we can surely create a nurturing environment for our children, for them to flourish no matter whatever changes they encounter. So, thank you once again for your active participation, and we look forward to seeing you in our future webinars as well. Stay tuned for more opportunities to delve deeper into the fascinating world of early childhood development. Wishing you and your little one a smooth and successful journey ahead through this year of transitions. Thank you so much once again. Thank you, Seema, for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening ahead.
Thanks.
Thank you.